Hello everybody and welcome to another Twilight Zone review. Today it is Season 3, Episode 27, Person or Persons Unknown, written by Charles Beaumont and starring Richard Long as David Gurney. And this episode, while going back over some themes that we've already seen in Twilight Zone, does it in a unique way, and this is a very good episode, which I think is a little bit under the radar. You don't hear too much about this one. Richard Long gives a very compelling performance, and the episode just works for me. So I'll go over the episode. We start off with our main character named David, and he's in bed, and he wakes up next to his wife. So, no big deal. And he gets up, he's looking for his razor, he can't find it. So he asks his wife, where is it? And the problem is, this woman doesn't recognize him. She has no idea who he is. So this is the premise for the rest of our episode. So we go from the opening narration, and David and the woman that he claims is his wife are arguing. She says she'll call the police if he doesn't leave. He wants to change clothes. He has no clothes there. So now he thinks somebody's playing a joke on him, and he leaves. And, he says he'll straighten this out later. So he goes into where he works, and he says hi to everybody. The only problem is nobody knows him. He tries to go to what is supposedly his desk, and there's another man working there, and he demands that the guy leave. So the guy calls an officer in while they're arguing, and the officer escorts him outside. He makes him leave. And once outside, his supposed wife is there, the officer's there, everybody from the office is there. And David, keeps insisting that's who he is. He explains they all know him. He's worked with him for years. So he says he'll prove it. He pulls out his wallet, but he has no ID, no driver's license, no nothing. So what's going on here? This is interesting so far. So he's taken away. We next see him in a doctor's office, and he's still sticking by his story that he's David. And the doctor tells him that there is no man by this name of David Gurney, that he's created him in his mind. And David is really upset about this. He still insists. And so the doctor says, I'll prove it to you. So they make some phone calls to his best friend, to his mother, and nobody knows who this guy is. So now David's starting to get really upset. I don't blame him at this point. I'd be pretty upset. And he also has no phone listing in the phone book, so it's really starting to look like this is all in the guy's mind. But David has another theory. He insists that someone is deliberately trying to block him out, and that he will figure out a way to prove it. So he leaves the office, he escapes. I think he smashes through the window, basically, and he steals a van. This scene was done pretty well, I guess. And, he goes to a bar, and it's, because he wants to prove this. It's a bar that nobody knew that he went to. He said he kept it a secret, but the bartender has no idea who he is, but yet he knows everything about the bartender. So how would he know all these things about the bartender if, this whole story was made up in his head? It seems like the things are accurate because the guy doesn't say otherwise. So while they're talking, he sees a picture, and this gives him an idea. He says he now has a way to prove that he is really David Gurney. So he goes to this place where film is developed, and he finds a picture of him and his supposed wife that was taken, and he says, this is proof, that there's a conspiracy against me. This woman says she doesn't know me, but look, here we are in a picture that was taken, before time. So he's going to leave with the picture without paying, of course, because this guy. So the doctor comes, and, he's right by the door, and David says, I have proof. So he shows the doctor the photo, and now it is just our buddy David in the photo. There is no woman there. So David is very upset. So we're wondering as an audience at this point, we're still not really 100% sure what's going on. But then we get a scene where David is back in bed. So I'm hoping at this point that we're not going to get this was all a dream. But the way this episode ends is odd. We're not really sure what's going on still. His wife wakes him up and asks him if he had a nightmare. So David's assuming this is what it was. And when he sees her, she reveals her face. It is a completely different woman. So this episode doesn't really tell you for sure what's going on at the end. Is this guy just crazy and he's making up, a different reality? Is this guy in a continual nightmare? Did he just have a nightmare and not recognize his wife? I'm not really sure. And I've said before, I don't mind an ending like this where they don't explain everything. But in this case, the premise was so compelling, it does feel a little unsatisfactory to me. Others may find it to their satisfaction. I thought it would have been a lot cooler if they could have really come up with a more clever ending. I feel like it's a little bit of a cop-out, but it does make you think. So if you like thought-provoking episodes, this is a good one. And Richard Long, like I said, gives a very solid performance. He really keeps you invested in the story. And if you think about it as a stolen identity story, that's a scary thought for anybody. So I feel this episode is still relevant. I'm just not sure. This one, I'll put it this way. I like the ending, but I don't love the ending. So overall, this is a very good episode, though worth watching, and I give Person or Persons Unknown a 4 out of 5. Definitely one to check out at least one time, and you don't hear too much about it. A little bit underrated, I think. So 4 out of 5 for Person or Persons Unknown. As always, thank you very much for watching.